partly sunny day in Milwaukee, and we welcome you to Miller Park for the finale, the decisive game of this three-game series between the Reds and the Brewers. Yes, cheeseheads all over Wisconsin. How about some of that, Chris, on your burger?
Hey, you know what? Day game, they grill out big time here. You know, this is one of the better tailgate partying places in all of Major League Baseball. I would say here in Milwaukee on a day game, San Diego before a day game or an evening game, that's the best place there is. And they got it going on here. Big crowd going to be on hand today at Miller Park, looking for this last of three games in this series.
All right, hi again, everybody. Along with Chris, I'm Tom. The Reds trying to make it a 4-2 road trip. Last night, they finally flexed their muscles a bit. They didn't play long ball, but they bang out, matching a season-high 19 base hits.
You know, it's funny how this club goes, because they go a couple of games in a row and they get nearly shut out, and then all of a sudden the batting shoes get put on in the right spot, and everybody comes out swinging. Everybody except Johnny Gomes. He's the only guy that got left out of the party last night, but everybody else had a great night, 19 hits overall. And this is kind of like this team. You know, when they get the offense rolling a little bit, they can do this for a couple, 3 games in a row and really give Dusty Baker almost a day off from managing, because you score that many runs, it doesn't take much to nail down a W.
We talked so much about the importance of Logan Ondrusik's outing last night. You may remember he came into the game. It was a 3-run spread with a runner on after Edinson Volquez had really struggled. And, man, what a job he did yet again.
Well, and the reason he was in there for a couple of innings, because it was testy there for an inning. You want to make sure that you bring a guy in to shut him down. And, boy, he has really shut them down lately. Ondrusik, big, tall guy, 6 feet 8 inches tall, using a downward plane. And he keeps the ball down. I'll tell you what, he's got a nice breaking ball right there. This young man is maturing into a very fine reliever right before our very eyes.
Brandon Phillips and company are going to try and get Travis Wood his first Major League win today. We'll talk more about that when we return. baseball on Fox Sports Ohio today, presented in beautiful high definition, courtesy of our friends from H.H. Gray. Travis Wood, will this be the day today, Chris Welsh, where he finally gets his first major league win?
Well, you know, sometimes it doesn't really matter what the pitcher does. It matters what the offense does behind him. And so far, not all that much for Travis Wood. But he takes the game into his own hands 4 times a night. I love this guy's pitching delivery. Good, repeatable delivery, quick arm action. He's not afraid to pitch to any part of the strike zone. And that changeup of his is so deceptive. You know, I think that this guy's career is going to be a long one, a very good one. He gets into major leagues at age 23. I think we're going to see a lot of very many big starts and wins for Travis Wood. But that first one is proving oh so elusive.
Well, let's see if today is that day for Travis Wood. Reds and the Brewers set to tee him up. A big night offensively last night. No Scott Rowland in the lineup today. But we'll see if Miguel Cairo and company can like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. By Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling trucks, 33 straight years. By Just for Men, for mustache and beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili. Whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Well, welcome back to Miller Park. Reds trying to end this road trip, having won 2 of 3 in Houston. A victory today would make it 2 of 3 in Milwaukee. And the Cincinnati Bell starting lineup for the Reds under manager Dusty Baker again has Brandon Phillips leading off at second. Orlando Cabrera at short. Joey Votto at first. Johnny Gomes in a cleanup spot. Miguel Cairo for Rowland at third. Jay Bruce in right. A latter third of Chris Heisey, Ryan Hannigan, Travis Wood against Chris Narveson. First time we've seen him against the Reds as a starting pitcher.
Well, he's been a starter and a reliever for the Milwaukee Brewers so far this year. He has 16 starts, and his season is kind of up and down. He's sometimes good, he's sometimes bad. He's got a fastball about 89 miles an hour. He'll throw more curves and sliders, but he will throw them both. But he's not afraid to throw a pretty good changeup. So Dusty Baker's put a right-hander and Chris Heisey in the lineup today, trying to maybe offset the lefty influence, and he'll probably see a couple of combos coming at his way today.
See the overall season numbers, 25 games today, his 17th start. And the earned run average of almost 6. Of course, the Reds faced another left-hander with an ERA well over 5 in the opening game of this series, and that was Randy Wolf, and he pitched very well. So the first pitch, a strike to Brandon Phillips, and this one underway. Partly sunny skies A lot more humid today than it's been the last couple of days. They're talking about the chance of a little bit of rain in the afternoon, but of course they have a retractable dome here, which means the rain is not a factor. Fastball in the inside corner, 0-2 to Brandon Phillips. Mike DeMuro behind home plate calling the balls and strikes. Tim Welke, the crew chief at first. Scott Berry at second. And Bill Welke is the umpire at third. Brandon at 287, 13 home runs, 35 runs batted in. He, along with Joey Votto and Scott Rowland, each had 4 hit games here last night. Brandon scored twice, knocked in a couple of runs. Slow roller to the shortstop Escobar, and Phillips retired to begin the game. Take a look at the rest of Milwaukee defensively, presented by Ford. Carlos Gomez again in center, flanked by Ryan Braun and Joe Inglet. Along the infield, Casey McGee, Escobar, Weeks, and Fielder, third to first, and a battery of Narveson and Jonathan Lucroy. Now Orlando Cabrera. Strike one. Orlando had 3 hits, scored twice, knocked in a run in the 12-4 rout here last night. A long night of baseball. Nearly 4 hours we were here. That one's in the air to right field, and right there is Inglet for the second out. Joey Votto continues to climb up the rankings in every offensive category with the 4 hits in 6 at-bats last night. Votto knocked in a run, stole a base, scored 3 times. That one swung on and fouled out of play. So Votto now ranks 3rd in the National League in batting average at .318. Rafael Furcal, the Dodgers, the league leader at .326. Votto still leads the league with 25 home runs. He's 5th in RBIs, but all of a sudden Ryan Howard's beginning to create some space between himself and really the rest of the pack. Howard, another big night last night in the Philadelphia win over Arizona, and now has 81 runs batted in. Breaking ball swung on and missed, and a 1-2-3 opening frame for Narveson. Travis Wood gets the ball when we come back. Broncos starting lineup brought to you by Cincinnati Bell. Again, Ricky Weeks. He's homered in each of the first 2 games of this series. He'll lead off. Escobar at short. Ryan Braun in left. Prince Fielder at first. Casey McGee at third. Jonathan Lucroy bats 6 behind the plate. A latter third of Gomez, Inglet, and Narveson. Travis Wood makes his 6th major league start. A sparkling ERA at 2.7.
Well, he's really been outstanding, Travis Wood has. He's got a quick arm, and we're looking from a pitching standpoint, the scouting report, lots of deception because you really can't tell his release point all that easily. And he pitches to all different parts of the strike zone. If you break it up into 4 quadrants, he's all over them. He'll throw a 4-seamer inside to right-handers, a 2-seamer down and away, has a great changeup, a cutter, a slider, a curveball, and he can throw them all for strikes.
Strike 1 to Ricky Weeks. What a year he is having. One and one on Ricky Weeks. 22 home runs and 67 runs batted in. Breaking ball floats up and away. 2-1 on Weeks. To give you an idea about just how special a year it has been for Ricky Weeks, consider it historically. He is on pace to knock in 106 runs this season, all coming from the leadoff spot. And he's attempting to become just the 2nd player ever to knock in 100 or more runs, all in that first position in the batting order. That ball scalded to right center field, and Heisey will run it down. 1 away. The Reds on defense. Presented by Ford. Heisey, the nod over the struggling Drew Stubbs in center. Johnny Gomes in left. Jay Bruce in the lineup against the left-hander today in right. Cairo, Cabrera, Phillips, and Votto third to first. And a battery of Travis Wood and Ryan Hannigan. To finish the thought, only one player ever has knocked in 100 runs batting in a leadoff position, and he did it one time, knocking in exactly 100 runs. That was Darren Erstad with the Angels back in the 2000 year. One and 0 on Alcides Escobar. It's popped up and out of play. Escobar, 248 batter, couple of home runs, 27 runs batted in, playing his first full year every day at the major league level after playing regularly over the final couple of months last season.
Well, Escobar had 38 games in last year for the Brewers, and he batted just over 300. Stole some bases, was 4 out of 6 bags there. Really kept the strikeouts down, very minimal last year, and still pretty much of a contact hitter. On base percentage right around 300.
Broken bat jam shot into center will fall in a hit.
Well, a guy takes a big swing like this, and a tendency is to just freeze as an outfielder. And I think from the reaction of the first ball I saw hit on a line by Ricky Weeks out to Chris Heisey in center field, Heisey might be battling a little bit of what's very common here and everywhere on a day game. A lot of white shirts in the background. Even though it's not a bright sunny day, it's one of those days where you kind of squint because there's some clouds in the sky. You're kind of squinting to see. You lose a ball coming off the bat, and you never want a ball going over your head. So outfielders are going to freeze first and then react second.
Well, 1 out, 1 on. Here's the left fielder Ryan Braun. 16 home runs, 63 knocked in. And the first pitch is a bit low. A fastball, ball 1. play by Wood, and this will start a double play to end the inning. That's a hard hit ball by Braun. No score at the end of one. Brought to you by Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Now the best power here that Ricky Henderson ever had, regarded as the greatest leadoff hitter in the history of the game. Ricky Weeks should race right by those from a power standpoint. Slugging percentage as well. How about 87 stolen bases, though?
That kind of separates you from the field.
Yeah, just a little.
How does my number on my back look? Oh, I was on my way to second base or third.
And on my way to the Hall of Fame.
Ricky with the Yankees that year, 1986. Tremendous year for Ricky. And that was the year, Ricky Henderson was talented throughout his entire career, but you have a year like that, and that's when you go from being Ricky Henderson to simply Ricky. And if you're referred to as one name, you know you've made it. Right, Tom?
You better tack on the back end of that as well. We ain't there, pal. For my money, I don't know if you agree, as Johnny Gomes behind 0-2. I'm not so sure, really, at the end of the day, that Ricky Henderson is not one of the 2 or 3 most underrated players in the history of the game. When you get to talking to people about, all right, let me pick my all-time team here, and you start in the outfield. And you'll hear a lot of guys talk about Mays, Mantle, Aaron, 2 or 3 others. Rose will frequently be left out of that conversation when guys talk about picking their all-time outfielders, and you never hear Ricky Henderson's name.
Batting behind Ricky is like batting in front of Albert Pujols.
That ball lined in the deep left center, run down by Gomez.
And what I mean by that is that Ricky Henderson would get on base so much, and he was such a threat to steal. And 87 bags in 1 year shows you that, he could steal with anybody, or better than anybody, as he did throughout his entire career. Well, as a pitcher, if you know the guy's going to steal and miss at bat, you're more likely to throw more fastballs. So that hitter is receiving a lot more straight stuff. He can wheel on that stuff a lot better than worrying about sliders and splitters and cutters and so on. And it's kind of like hitting in front of a guy like Pujols, where you don't want to walk this guy because Pujols is coming up next. He gets a lot of fastballs for strikes. So you can have protection before and after, if you want to call it that.
4 up, 4 down for Chris Narveson. And here's Miguel Cairo back in the lineup again after Roland returned the last couple of games. I'm sure Scotty will be back in there if all is well on Friday night when the Atlanta Braves come to town for a very brief 3-game homestand. And the Reds back on the road to Pittsburgh and Chicago. Line into right center field, a base hit. A Cairo one-out single here in the second inning.
You talk about a super sub. Well, this year, that is Miguel Cairo. I mean, it doesn't matter whether he's filling in first base, outfield, third base, pinch hitting. I mean, he just gets it done. It's nice that Scott Rowland gives him the day off from time to time so he can get recharged.
Now Jay Bruce takes a breaking ball away. 261 batter, 10 home runs, and even 40 runs batted in. Bruce on the road trip, 4 for 16 with 3 runs batted in. We got one of those RBIs on a bases loaded walk last night. Jay went 1 for 4, struck out 3 times. Bruce Stubbs finally breaking that 0 for 23 stretch last night. He did have 1 hit in the game, Chris, but even with a left-hander on the mound, Dusty going to give Stubbs a breather here in this series finale. Playable in left for Braun. 2 away. So it's Stubbs sitting down. It is Drew Heisey who takes advantage of a rare start. Chris Heisey at 282, 6 home runs, 4 of those as a pinch hitter, and 9 RBIs. Heisey had another chance in a starting role. Here recently, and that was a game his first time up. He went up there and tried to put down a bunt. I think everybody almost fell over.
I think
that was against Wandy Rodriguez.
Yeah.
When the Reds were shut out on 3 hits, Heisey went 0 for 3. Sunday's game.
You know, Dusty Baker calls it a work day when he gives a young player a day off. A little different than when you give Scott Rowland a day off, or Cabrera a day off. But when you're a young guy like Drew Stubbs or Jay Bruce, and you get a day off, it's a work day. I mean, you spend more time, way more time in the batting cage, working with Brooke Jacoby, working on all sorts of stuff.
Runner goes, throw down a second is not going to be in time, and that's Cairo's 3rd steal in as many attempts.
A good aggressive baseball right there. The worst thing that can happen to you is that Cairo gets thrown out. Heisey leads the inning off. Heisey's got pretty good speed, so now the Reds have a chance to punch a run in and get up on the Brewers.
Narveson finally okays the sign with a runner out there at second base for the first time in this game. Threw a fastball right by Chris up.
You know, before the start that you were talking about against Wandy Rodriguez, the last game in Houston, it was about 2 weeks since Heisey had his previous start. I'd like to see him have a chance, maybe, start for a week. Let's see what you got with Chris Heisey, because I'm not so sure really anybody really knows what you do have.
That ball is blasted right at Ryan Braun, and that'll end the inning. That's just tough luck getting right there. Still no score. after the game last night. My arm is good. My speed is very good. I just can't put it together with my mechanics. I have to step up and throw strikes, and we need to win.
And it may take him a little bit of while to do that, but I think the important things at this point for Edinson Volquez is the fact that his arm feels good. He recovers the day after he pitches, has no feeling at all of discomfort in his arm or his elbow, and that it's a matter of time before he finds that release point. His changeup was good last night. His dislocation was horrible. I can tell you this, there was at least one American League scout who came into Milwaukee specifically for the purpose to scout Edinson Volquez last night. So you never know.
Swinging a foul ball out of play by Prince Fielder.
And you talk about a lot of, trade deadline deals and so on. The big money guys, the Roy Oswalts and so on, you could probably do deals like that after the trade deadline because players with a huge obligation money-wise are going to be able to get through waivers. But a guy like Volquez may not. And if you're thinking about making your club better.
Right into the defense with a shift on. That's a shortstop who throws out Prince Fielder. Well, Jocketty was quoted as saying that all is pretty quiet. Of course, the one thing we have learned about Walt, and perhaps more so, Chris, and any general manager that I've had a chance to be around, there are no leaks out of that baseball operations department about what might be or what might not be going on. I don't think anybody saw that Scott Rowland deal coming last year.
And that's really the way it ought to be. You know, we've experienced, Tom, in the past, some general managers who will leak false information out there in order to kind of get the media off their trail. So you're chasing one thing, and then you find out that they're working on something completely different. For my money, just tell me the deal after it's done, and we'll talk about it then.
2-1 on Casey McGee. Well, you look back through the years, though, obviously different general managers. But the Reds have made some of the biggest trades in the franchise's history at the trade deadline. I mean, you go all the way back even in 1977. That's when they got Tom Seaver from the Mets in June that year. The blockbuster in '95 when they got Mark Portugal and Dave Burba, Darren Lewis for Deion Sanders and 4 other players. 2-2 on McGee. Fouled out of play. Of course, in 1997, they got Danny Graves, Scott Winchester, Damian Jackson. That was a John Smiley deal. They picked up Juan Guzman for the stretch in '99. Got Aaron Harang at the trade deadline in '03. Traded away Ken Griffey Jr. at the deadline in '08 and got Nick Masson in that deal, and then a Rowland trade last year. So those are some pretty big names. The only one of those trades made by the current general manager was last year's deal. Two and two on McGee. And there's strike 3 called on the inside corner. Strikeout number 1 for Travis Wood.
You know, it's not necessarily the radar gun. It's how hitters react to your pitches, especially your fastball. And just such a quick arm action. You see the little bit of a bailout right there by McGee. He kind of got his front leg out of the way, and it was too late for him to adjust to try to foul that ball off. I mean, Wood keeps it about as simple as you can possibly keep it. You stand on the mound, you don't have any extra movement in your delivery. You keep it nice and quiet, and you attack the hitter.
Wood, a second-round draft choice back in June of 2005 out of Bryant, Arkansas. Bryant High School. Only pitched in 11 starts, 14 games in rookie ball his first year. Then in 06 at Dayton, a 10-game winner with an ERA right around 3.5. The following year, he had an injured left rotator cuff. Only started 12 games at Sarasota. But then in 08, Sarasota to Chattanooga, and last year, Carolina to Louisville, and what a year he had. And Carolina was a Southern League Pitcher of the Year. Went to spring training this year with an eye on that number 5 spot in the rotation. He lost in what turned out to be a 2-horse race the last couple of weeks to Mike Lee. But since coming to the big leagues, he just keeps getting them out. 1, 2, 3 in the second, still no score. Tie atop the National League Central. Cardinals will play later on tonight after they lost last night in the opening game of a 3-game series to the New York Mets. Adam Wainwright, a rare loss for St. Louis. And tonight they'll send Jaime Garcia to the mound against Mike Pelfrey. Pelfrey a 10-game winner, Garcia a 9-game winner. They'll wrap up that series tomorrow. Reds are off. Johan Santana starts for the Mets against Blake Hawksworth tomorrow of St. Louis. 1-0 to Ryan Hannigan. Scoreless game. We begin the third. Travis Wood next, and then Brandon Phillips. Each team with a hit. Ramon Hernandez got a start last night, had a couple of hits. Both doubles, knocked in 3. And of course Ryan Hannigan knocked in the team's only 2 runs in the opener here on Monday night with a bases loaded 2-run single. Well, there's just another huge crowd here today. This is by far the biggest crowd we've had in this series. It's got to be close to 35,000, 40,000 here today.
You know, up in the upper deck, Tom, there look like there are a number of children up here that are all wearing special colored T-shirts. And like I'm talking about way up in here in this area here. And maybe these are day camps or children's camps that you get an outing and you come to a Brewers game. What better way to spend it? Rain or shine, they're playing baseball here in Milwaukee.
We get a lot of that in Cincinnati where the youngsters come out.
Great time, too.
1-2 on Ryan Hannigan. And the fastball is up and in. Well, Chris, you and I were throwing around this idea, and I'm not sure we're ever going to know the answer. I mean, there are a lot of factors you could probably throw in there, but you know, you look at Milwaukee, a city smaller than the greater Cincinnati area, by far smaller than the greater Cincinnati area, comparing northern Kentucky and all the way out to, there's a liner caught into Butler County and so on and so forth. And that's the question, you know, what is it right now that has the Brewers, a team far down the track as far as the National League Central is concerned? How is it they're averaging about 13,000 fans more per game than the Reds are at this point in the year in Cincinnati? It's subject to change, and it might change.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy answer to that, or else everybody would be jumping all over it. I'm not sure there's a team out there that tries any better or comes up with any better marketing ideas than what the Reds have. They come up with some brilliant stuff. But it all comes down to the Brewers have had postseason experience. They made a big splash a couple of years ago when they went out and got CC Sabathia before the trading deadline, about 2 weeks before the deadline. He propelled them on to postseason play, and that just fired up the entire area.
Or the ground ball to the shortstop Escobar, 2 away in the inning. Well, we invite you to come on down Friday night at 6 o'clock to the Righteous Room downtown. Your chance to test your knowledge and win some great prizes. Who knows, you might end up on Reds Live after the game right here on Fox Sports Ohio. That's the Righteous Room, 6 o'clock Friday night, leading up to the Reds and the Atlanta Braves. Now, we understand there are expected to be huge crowds at Great American Ballpark for this 3-game weekend series with Atlanta. Fireworks Friday night. Homer Bailey bobblehead Saturday. We have the Faith concert by Mercy Me after the game Sunday, along with giving away some T-shirts to the first, 10,000 youngsters 14 and under that come through the gate. So there's a lot going on during this 3-game homestand. And, of course, we might have a matchup of division leaders. Although Philadelphia is making a serious charge, having ripped off 6 straight wins. In the last 3 days, they've gone from 7 back. 4 games total. They've gone from 7 back to 3.5 back.
Well, you combine 6 straight wins with 2 straight losses, and that's what the Braves have seen.
Atlanta's lost 6 of their last 10. Phillies have obviously won 6 in a row. Two and one on Brandon Phillips. Breaking ball, chop foul. Johnny Cueto against Chris Medlin. We have not seen Medlin this year. That'll be the pitching matchup Friday night. Saturday afternoon at 4:10 start will be Bronson Arroyo and Jair Jurgens. And then the series finale is Edinson Volquez against Tommy Hanson. That'll be a 1:10 game. Brandon Phillips seems to have quite a few of these kinds of at-bats since moving into that leadoff role.
You know, at first I thought that Brandon Phillips was simply just taking his time getting in the batter's box, wanted to give Travis Wood plenty of time to get back in the dugout, settled and situated. Last thing you want to do as the leadoff hitter following a pitcher is go up there, hack at the first pitch, and all of a sudden he's got to, run on back out to the mound.
This one in the air, playable in short right for Inglet, and a 1-2-3 third for Barbison. Still no score after 2.5 in Milwaukee. The Cincinnati Reds will be a part of the action. The Atlanta Braves coming to town. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Taco Bell returns this week, 4 o'clock Eastern Time.
And you'll be working that game, won't you, partner?
Be working that game indeed.
I'll be watching you. You and Kevin Millar will be teamed up to bring us some Reds Braves action. Good luck to you that day.
Need all the help we can get. Thank you. Sorry you're not going to be there.
I'll be there in spirit.
Thank you. Latter third in the batting order coming up in the bottom of the third inning. Gomez, Inglet, and Narveson against Travis Wood. He allowed a single to Escobar, a broken bat single in the first inning. We've got Ryan Braun on a double play, so through the front two, Travis has faced the minimum. 2-0 to Gomez. Trying to pound Gomez in. He's fallen behind 3-0.
Yeah, that's a cutter. And if you're watching the radar gun for Travis Wood, his fastball will go 91, 92, 90 miles an hour. That cutter, somewhere around 87 to 89. But boy, it's a tough one, too. It starts middle of the plate, and all of a sudden it's in under your thumbs.
To the count. Well, one of those youth groups you were talking about, they've got some kind of chant or cheer, which is choreographed up there in the upper deck.
They tell us they're from the YMCA. Coming out here having a great day at the ballpark.
Good for them.
They've got it going on up there now.
YMCA does great work all over America. They have forever. And YWCA for that matter, but YMCA, of course, man. They're so involved in every community coast to coast. Gomez putting up quite a battle here. Fell behind, got ahead 3-0. Wood threw him a couple of strikes. And now a couple of foul balls behind it. See if Travis can put him away. He fanned the final 2 batters in the 2nd inning. Make it 3 in a row.
Rearing back a little bit, looking for some extra juice, and Travis Wood finds it. 87, 88, 93 on that high piece of cheese, and Gomez will drag it on back.
Well, now Joe England. We saw him pitch an inning out of the bullpen here last
night. What, he made it look awfully easy, didn't he?
1, 2, 3.
Did he break 65? I don't think so.
Oh, I doubt it. And it wasn't like he retired, just so ho-hum batters. He got Phillips, Cabrera, and Votto. Two of those guys were going for 5-hit nights. It was a much rougher time for the guy who is primarily paid to pitch. And that's Giovanni Gallardo. 2 2/3 innings, 10 hits.
Kind of funny. He did better at the plate than England did at the plate. And England did better on the mound than Gallardo did on the mound. Maybe they're miscast.
They were last night. Gallardo hit the 2-run home run. England went 0 for 5 and struck out 3 times. There were only a grand total of what? 4 perfect innings last night
in the entire
team. Yeah. How about Travis Wood?
You can't count the 3 though. Brandon Phillips is calling. Come on back, Travis.
Travis,
we got to get one more. He said, I knew that.
Well, Ryan Hannigan thought the same thing.
Well, that's how persuasive Travis Wood can be. How definitive that particular strikeout was. I mean, he has struck out now 4 in a row. Hey.
Hannigan, too. Look at him.
Not much for math, but he's pretty doggone good on the hill. That's a fine, though, when you come to Kangaroo Court. Bring your per diem with you.
All right, now the pitcher, Narveson. And it's in there, a strike. Brandon Phillips standing out there, waving, yelling, hey, come on back. I don't know if I've ever seen a battery do that. Have you?
No. We've seen a lot of times, of course, outfielders make it out and they toss it into the stands, and sometimes you see the pitcher run off the mound. But not only the catcher and the pitcher, and no one else even budged. Hannigan may get fined twice. He's supposed to be able to. I mean, he's got the whole field in front of him and the scoreboard.
They didn't want to embarrass the other pitcher. What an inning in the 3rd. And Wood has struck out the last 5 Brewers that have come to the plate. dealers where you can register to win the Tundra Great American Ballpark. By JTM Food Family Fun. JTM. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Travis Wood still hearing it from his mates down there in the dugout. After both Wood and Hannigan broke for the third base dugout after the swing and a miss by Joe Inglet, which was the second out of the inning. But once they got back to being on the mound and back behind the plate, they struck out Narveson to end the inning. So now 2, 3, and 4 in the Reds batting order. Cabrera, Votto, and Gomes against Narveson, who's allowed just one base hit. And there's a second hit. A broken bat flare by Orlando Cabrera to start the fourth inning. Take a look at our AT&T trivia question tonight. Who is the only Brewers pitcher to ever throw a no-hitter? I saw the answer, and Chris, I'd have been here for 2 months, morning, noon, and night, and never gotten this name. Longer than that. From now till the end of time.
Yeah, I thought I knew the answer right off the top of my head, but now that you say that, I may be way off.
I remember, didn't Chris Bosio flirt around with a no-hitter?
He did.
One time here. And, I mean, heck, every time CC Sabathia took the mound that year after coming over from the Indians, it seemed like he was on the verge of no-hit stuff every single night. Heck, he barely ever lost a game once he came over. There's youngsters in the background, if you weren't with us a little while ago. The different cheers for the group they're a part of out at the ballpark tonight, the YMCA. That's banged into right field, a base hit by Votto. Cabrera thought about Deacon, the defender, and he just does get back. He's extremely fortunate.
Well, he wasn't really sure what he wanted to do right here, and he didn't get a great jump on that ball. Not sure when it was going to go through the infield, or so when he gets back and gets his hand under it. Unfortunately, that throw was just a hair high, and that Escobar had to come way down from above his head down to the ground to make the tag.
Well, now the Reds with the first two on here in the fourth inning, and Johnny Gomes, the batter. He hit the ball very hard to deep left center field, caught at the warning track by Carlos Gomez. His only at bat of the game. Breaking ball is in there, a strike. Gomes, the only regular last night in the original 8 starting lineup without a hit. He had 3 hits, a stolen base, and a run scored in the opener. Good location on that 0-1 fastball to get ahead 0-2. And Gomes has gone on strikes on 3 pitches.
Well, we talked about the assortment of pitches that Chris Narveson has. Here's the curveball. Boy, I think that's his best pitch. I mean, that is a ball that just dropped right off the table. Big speed difference between that and his fastball. It's up around 89 miles an hour, but he really stays right on top of that curve. Narveson, not originally a Brewer. In fact, he didn't come to the Brewers until December of '07 when he signed a minor league contract with them. Originally property and drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in 2000. He was their second-round draft pick out of high school in Asheville, North Carolina.
Fouled away by Miguel Cairo, strike one.
Well, Narveson was 4 years in the Cardinal system before he was traded in 2004 in the Larry Walker trade. That was a trade that happened right after the trade deadline in August of 04. Walker coming from the Rockies to the Cardinals. Then Colorado eventually traded him the following year in March to the Red Sox. And that was in the Byung-Hyun Kim deal in August, and the Cardinals ended up claiming Chris Narveson again on waivers. They drafted him originally. He was on the waiver wire. They picked him up in 2005, went back into their minor leagues, actually had a little bit of major league time with him. And in 07, he signed as a minor league deal with the Brewers, and here he is in the big leagues. Actually pitching better now in the big leagues than he did in the minor leagues. Sometimes it takes lefties just a little bit longer.
2 on, 1 out. 0-1 to Cairo. Singled his only time up. Boy, that is a good-looking breaking ball.
Yeah, that breaking ball looks a lot like the one we saw from Randy Wolf and the one we see from Wandy Rodriguez. And you know what, the Reds and the problems that they've had against those two starters just in this last week.
Now, those were back-to-back losses on this trip. The only 2 losses on this trip. And Rodriguez shut out the Reds with help from the bullpen on Sunday, the series finale in Houston, and in the opener here when Randy Wolf looked like he wouldn't even make it through 3 innings in this game. Wound up going 7, allowed 5 hits, 2 runs. 1-2 on Miguel Cairo. The runners take off. Throw down to third. And they're checking to see if he held the baseball. Cairo is watching as Cabrera's thrown out. And hopefully the third baseman, McGee, is all right.
Boy, did Cabrera come into third base hard. Waited to the very last second to slide in there. The ball beat him. We'll take a look at it. Cabrera goes first. Votto goes second. And you see McGee kind of laid his knee down on top of the bag. I wonder if he may have just gotten spiked right there, right on the outside of the left knee. I think of the right calf.
Yeah, which was well behind the bag. It looked like Cabrera's left front foot hit the bag, then popped up and got him in the back calf. Yep. Ooh, that didn't look good. That's a plant foot back there. Good to see. So McGee's okay. He'll stay in the game. You think that's a missed hit and run there by Cairo? Or is that pitch just too far out of the strike zone?
Well, it doesn't matter where it is out of the strike zone. You're hacking at it anyway. You're trying to do something to at least maybe deceive the catcher, if nothing else. I'm not really sure how that play evolved. I know that Cabrera did not get a great jump. And normally, you got to steal third base, you get a better jump than that.
Well, now a runner at second. It started with 2 on and nobody out. Now the Reds have Votto at second. 2 outs. And it's 2-2 on Miguel Cairo. And this is going to end the inning. Wow. 2 on, nobody out. And that's that. Still scoreless.
Guys look very similar to each other. On your left, Mike Leake. On your right, Travis Wood. And they kind of both come to the same delivery. Not very quiet, but they start their hands down around their waist. They get to their balance point like most pitchers do, but upon their breaking their hands out, they both keep their shoulders closed very nicely. Wood keeps his arm up a little bit more than Leake does, but watch how they finish up in a very solid position, ready to field their position, almost identical. These guys have very similar deliveries. They're very simple and pure, not a lot of excess movement out there. And Leake, 22 years old, Travis Wood, 23 years old. Look for them to be wearing Reds uniforms for a long time.
Top of the order for the Brewers here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Reds missing out on a golden chance to get on the board first in the top of the inning with back-to-back hits by Cabrera and Votto. But Johnny Gomes struck out. Cabrera thrown out trying to steal third. Then a pop-up into center by Cairo ended the threat and the inning. Ball destroyed by Weeks, almost went through Cairo. He's able to make the play. Man, was that ball hit. That's two of them by Weeks in a game. A rocket to center and now a one-hop it to Cairo at third.
Well, the guy's got tremendous bat speed. He hit a home run here about halfway up the scoreboard the other night. Hit one in the second deck last night, or at least deep into the second deck. And that one, you don't want to catch that ball with your feet planted. You want to catch it in the air a little bit so if it moves you back, you can absorb the blow.
Well done by Cairo. Now it's Escobar.
I don't think he had a choice.
Yeah, caught him.
He probably didn't think he was going to be able to get out of the way of that ball. So he had to flick his glove up there just in time.
Escobar, the only base runner against Travis Wood. He had a broken bat single in the very shallow center field. A ball and strike on Escobar. Well, pitching without much support offensively is certainly nothing new in a very short major league career of Travis Wood. Of course, he had back-to-back starts where the team did not score a single run for him. He went 9 innings. That's when he flirted with a perfect game, retiring the first 24 batters. Back on the 10th of July in Philadelphia, he allowed a double to Carlos Ruiz to lead off the 9th and break up the perfect game bid, but then retired the next 3. 2-2 on Escobar. The Reds wound up losing that game 1-0 in 11. And then the very next start in Colorado against Colorado after the break, he went 6 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 run. A game lost by the Reds, 1-0. Two and two the count on Escobar. And Wood going to work. Escobar hanging around. shallow center, but it's another hit. 2 for 2 for Escobar. The only 2 Milwaukee hits on the afternoon. And 1 to Ryan Braun. Scoreless game, bottom of the 4th inning. Wood has only pitched out of the stretch to 1 batter, and it was against Ryan Braun, who bounced into a double play to end the 1st inning. A ball and a strike. And 1 count on Braun. And that ball is blasted into left field. And that'll go to the wall. They're going to wave around Escobar. And he will score on a double by Braun.
The guy can flat out hit. There's just no question about that. You have to challenge him with a fastball, but he's a very good high ball hitter, despite the fact that he starts his setup with his bat perpendicular to the ground. He just gets that bat head on the ball right here. Ryan Braun does, and a quick strike offense puts the Brewers ahead. Back-to-back base hits.
Well, now the Reds move around their defense, shifting for the pull-hoppy Prince fielder. He had a ball right where Orlando Cabrera is standing right now, on the first base side of second. His first time up. Better keep an eye on Braun out there. Of course, Cabrera is standing almost directly behind him off the bat. But Cairo's playing a good 20 feet off the third base line, the lone defender on the left side of the infield. Braun has 13 steals in 15 tries. Fielder this year only a .222 batter against left-handed pitching. He's had his problems with the left-handers this year. Wood has fallen behind him 3-0. Better be careful on a gimme strike here. Fielder takes a strike. Walk of the afternoon for Travis Wood. 3 straight Brewers have reached safely after retiring weeks to start the inning. Brian Price, the pitching coach, will come out for a visit.
Yeah, I prefer to see a walk to Prince Fielder right there rather than him groove a 3-1 fastball and Fielder pop it into the second deck somewhere. I mean, there's a significant drop-off in the lineup, especially with Corey Hart not on the active list right now. He's off. He's active, but he's not able to play. He has a thumb injury from trying to make a catch and run it into the wall the other day. So you have Casey McGee coming up next to a pretty tough right-handed hitter, but certainly not the kind of run producer that Prince Fielder is. So one of those unintentional strategical walks there for Travis Wood. Checking with the shortstop, Orlando Cabrera, to know where he goes if he can get a ground ball double play to get out of the inning. He has thrown one on the day.
Well, now Casey McGee with 1 in, 2 on, and 1 out. McGee looked at strike 3, a fastball around the knees back in the second inning. A call with which he did not agree with Mike DeMuro, the home plate umpire. Strike 1. Time quickly to answer our AT&T trivia question. The only Milwaukee Brewers pitcher to throw a no-hitter. Juan Nieves, back in their American League days in 1987 at Baltimore.
What about Ed Cushman, who did it against the Washington Nationals? September 28th, 1884. That was a Milwaukee Brewer team. I think we ought to outlaw these questions where you have rotating franchises, because the Milwaukee Braves, they were a Milwaukee team, had 4 no-hitters. Jim Wilson, Lou Burdette, Warren Spahn, did it 2 times. Here I am racking my brain, and all I've come up with is a headache and not the right answer. That's just not fair.
No, it's not. Jam shot pop-up by McGee. They have a big monument to the Milwaukee Braves franchise outside of Miller Park. And of course, the greatest Brave of them all, Henry Aaron.
It's kind of confusing, though, don't you agree?
It is.
I mean, you're clinging on to the Milwaukee Braves because they were here. They're part of your history. If you grew up here in Milwaukee, of course you remember Henry Aaron. When the Brewers came in, they were the Seattle Pilots, weren't they? When the Braves left, they...
Yeah, the old story about Bud Selig just devastated when the baseball team left Milwaukee, his hometown, and he was going to do everything he could to get it back.
And he did. No longer owns a franchise, but when you're drawing 35,000 a game, you obviously have something of importance to this area.
2 on, 2 out for Lucroy. Lined into left field. That's another hit. And it'll be another run. Two nothing Brewers.
Well, they got the curveball up that time. Travis Wood looking at the big board, seeing exactly the location of the pitch. We'll show it to you on our Fox tracks, pretty much right down Broadway. I don't think you could get it right down in the center of the strike zone any more than that one. A classic hanger, and Lucroy Rips it into left field, and it's 2-0 ball game.
Swing and a miss on a fastball up to Carlos Gomez.
Well, he blew away Gomez the first time up. Threw him a couple of cutters in at 87, 88, then threw him a 93-mile-an-hour heater up in the zone right there and got him out. I'd imagine he will keep the hard stuff on him, especially after he gets ahead of him here. Hannigan wants it hard and in.
Up and away. Travis Wood had allowed just one base hit through the front 3 innings. Retired the leadoff man here in the 4th. But then a single by Escobar, run scoring double by Braun. He walked Fielder. And after he got McGee to pop up, a 2-out RBI single by Lucroy to drive in Braun. First 2 runs in the game for either team. And 2 on Gomez. And this one's lined into the outfield. Bruce with a diving grab to save another run. Bruce, a great jump, leaving his feet. And that's the way the Brewers' 2-run fourth comes to an end. Speaking of the Braves, of course, they migrated down to Atlanta in 1974. The first inning on opening day. Henry Aaron tied Babe Ruth. 714 career home runs. That happened to be the very first game broadcast by my dad in the Cincinnati Reds. Radio booth alongside Joe Nutsall. And Marty Brenneman, who celebrates a birthday today. In his 38th year behind the microphone with the Reds. Happy birthday to you. Come on, Chris. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marty. Happy birthday to you. Big day for Marty today.
Sure is.
They sit in the right center field. And he doesn't mind talking about how old he is. Some people get uptight about it. 68 today.
Looking good, too.
He does look good. Looks
I don't
really
believe
good.
he'll ever shoot his age in golf.
No. Well, you play with him all the time. So
well, he usually gets pretty close on his front nine.
Boy, you got to beat him down.
Oh, no, I can't do that. I usually wait till we get out there to beat him down.
That is a foul ball, not by much off the bat of Chris
You get the feeling he had a little bit of second thoughts as to how he was going to make that call down there?
Yes.
Bill Welke, man, into third base. He was at home plate last night. They straddled the line. So you taking your dad out to dinner when we get back to Cincinnati tonight?
No, not tonight. I'll get him out. He's off for the weekend, so he's going to be enjoying himself, I'm sure. I'll be working all weekend, so hopefully we're all together in Pittsburgh. We'll all get him out one night. We've got a couple of off days on that upcoming road trip. We do. Team has one. So, Dad, happy birthday. I love you. See you on a plane afterwards. He'll be able to hang out with his grandkids on a flight today. He'll be excited about that. We have another birthday. We'd like to send out a special happy birthday to Mr. James Day. Not Jim Day from Fox Sports Ohio. James Day from Sabina, Ohio. Now living in Venice, Florida. Turned 72 years young today. He's been a Reds fan since he was in high school. Served in the Air Force. There's a fly ball in the straightaway center field. And that's the first out of the inning. He served in the U.S. Air Force a couple of years, in fact, in France. He was brought back home when his father sadly passed away to work on their family farm, but he never misses a game. And James Day, we hope you're having a great day. Chris talked about it. It's three straight left-handers now that are giving this Reds lineup major problems. Runner takes off for second. Throw down there. And Jay Bruce is out. Slipped out of the bag.
Well, we have seen some real aggressive slides by the Reds today. You saw Orlando Cabrera take out Casey McGee at third, and now Jay Bruce slides very hard into second base. Ricky Weeks takes the throw from the catcher. McCoy puts it on the money down there, or a little bit high, I guess, and you see where Bruce goes beyond the bag, and as he slides over the bag, he loses contact with his left hand. So does he get credit for a stolen base and then a put out? Because the initial sign from the umpire was safe and then out.
We'll wait and find out. So 2 outs, nobody on. And right under the glove of McGee down the third base line. So that's a big out on that stolen base attempt now by Jay Bruce. As was the one by Cabrera at third base in the fourth inning. That'll be an error on McGee. Probably another case, Chris, something you talked about earlier, you know, on day games. And look at all the white jerseys that are sitting just to the plate side of the Brewers dugout on the first base side, which is exactly where McGee is looking. There must be 25 white shirts in the first 5 rows.
Well, there even are white shirts at night, but I think the difference is that you have much more light, obviously, in the stands during a day game than you do at night. At night, the only thing that is really illuminated brightly is the field. That's the way where they direct the lights from the beam of the lights. But during the day, you got all the light elsewhere. Sometimes it's in shadow, sometimes it's in bright sunlight. But when you've got bright sunlight in the stands, and that is your background, boy, that's an awfully tough way to pick the ball up.
So now Travis Wood with a chance to get his team on the board. After the 2-base error by McGee allows Hannigan to get to second base.
Like, I've never seen a study on this, Tom, but I would suggest that I would say that more pitchers get hit with balls hit back to them during the day than at night.
Really?
I mean, per number of games played. There are obviously many more games played at night than during the daytime. But some ballparks, it's very hard to see the ball coming back at you during the day.
Well, you'd love to give Brandon Phillips a chance in this inning. Wood would have counted 2-0. Reds have 3 hits. 4 batters reach in the last inning and 2/3. And have been unable to cash in against Narveson. Now behind 2-0 and a 2-0 count. And that's a strike. Wood swings at a 2-1 pitch and grounds out to short, and that'll end the inning. Reds trail 2-0. iPod Touch, BlackBerry, and Android phone with MLB.com's At Bat 2010. Purchase today. Brewers come to bat, bottom of the 5th inning. Travis Wood allowed the only 2 runs by either team in the game in the 4th. 1-out single by Escobar. He scored on a double by Ryan Braun. 3 batters later, a 2-out run scoring single by Jonathan Lucroy. So 2 runs, 4 hits for Milwaukee. No runs, 4 hits for the Reds. Only one other National League game being played down in Houston, Texas. And the Chicago Cubs have a 1-0 lead over the Astros. It should be noted, by the way, we thank our statistician supreme on the home front, who stays with us on the road as well, Mark Wagner, reminding us we're talking about no-hitters. The only no-hitter thrown in this ballpark, Miller Park, was not thrown by a Brewer, nor was it thrown against the Brewers. You may remember a couple of years ago when the Astros, because of major weather damage down at Minute Maid Park, had to play a 3-game series, a home series, against the Cubs. It needed to be made up. So they moved the series to Miller Park. And Carlos Zambrano on September the 14th that year, no hit, pitching for the Cubs, the Astros in this park. And to this day, there are still those in Houston that seethe over the decision that was made to play that series, a big series at the time, for the Astros, who were still very much in the hunt, and a Cub team that was trying to win that division title, for moving those 3 games to this venue. I mean, virtually it was a 3-day sellout and 3 days of pro-Chicago crowds here in Milwaukee. Strike 3 called on England, 1 away in the inning. Will fuel your competitive spirit and passion for learning in the 2010 After School All-Stars Games, Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. That's in Columbus, Ohio. To register, for more information, contact Columbus After School All-Stars online at asascolumbus.org. Narveson down a strike. Six strikeouts in a game by Travis Wood. He's walked 1 batter and allowed the 2 runs on 4 hits. So far, anyway, it's the 3rd time in 6 major league starts that Travis Wood has not gotten a single run behind him. That one banged into left center, cut off by Heisey, and Narveson with his 9th hit in 29 at bats.
We've got some pretty good hitting pitchers on this Brewers staff. We talked last night about Giovanni Gallardo, hit his 4th home run, an opposite field job. Somebody's working with these guys. That's a pretty good hack. Time you tell that story about Zambrano and the no-hitter that he threw here against the Astros, you remember the next game was pitched by Ted Lilly, who pitched a 1-hitter that night.
Haven't heard Ted Lilly's name mentioned a whole lot lately leading up to the trade deadline day after tomorrow. Thought that would be a name we'd hear more frequently.
There was a little bit of noise coming out of New York, Mets-wise. Some urging on the part of some of the media columnists there that the Mets ought to make a move and they ought to go after Lilly while they had a chance. So far, nothing.
Of course, the trade deadline officially will expire midnight Friday night. We'll see if there's a flurry of action. There's already been a couple of pretty big deals, but the guy most frequently talked about continues to be Roy Oswalt. Of course, Cliff Lee traded a few weeks ago.
Well, what a game he had last night.
Again.
Man, oh man. 9 innings, no earned runs, 13 punch-outs. The Rangers finally got the win. He had a no decision.
Tell you, Chris, I don't know about you. We don't see him pitch every 5 days. I just find it hard to believe there could be a better pitcher right now in baseball than Lee.
How about the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, no question. But, I mean, right now, I'm not sure there's anybody today. I'm not talking about for the next 5 years or the next 10 years. I don't know if there's another guy today you'd pick ahead of Lee and say that guy's better.
Well, the Phillies had a choice. And they had a chance to get Roy Halladay. They decided to do that. Of course, there are some Philly fans that are a little bit on the sore side because they felt that the Phillies baseball operations could have had both of them, Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay. But you're right. I'm with you right there. I mean, there's no better control pitcher out there than Lee. That is for certain.
That guy's just a stud. And there are other guys out there. Here's Escobar. This one will not reach center field. He had a couple of those for base hits already. A hit, a man left. Let's see what the Reds can do at the top of the order coming up, trailing 2-0.
Nothing. Milwaukee leads it over the Reds as we go to the top half of the sixth inning now. And boy, there have been some sensational games in baseball this year. It is the year of the pitcher. 5 no-hitters included in that, 2 perfect games. You've got Jimenez, Braden, Holiday, Jackson, and of course Garza 2 nights ago. And tonight, Holiday and Jackson square off against each other. So a perfect game and a no-hitter goes at it tonight. So it's time now for our Meyer Text Poll. And the question tonight, how many more no-hitters will we see this year in baseball? Text your answer to 37664. Remember, standard texting rates apply. Will we see 1, none, 2, 1, 3, 2, or 4, 3 or more? I'm going to say 1, none. As the bullpen just below me, guys, it's been the best in baseball since July 1st with a 3.13 earned run average, and they're tossing bubble gum up here at me, and the kids up here are having a blast picking up the super bubble gum for Mr. Fisher and, of course, Arthur Rhodes. Guys,
it's good stuff out there. They're keeping you on your toes, Pick.
Oh, they are. They really are.
Hey, Pick, lean over there and ask some of those guys in the bullpen how many more no-hitters that they they think we'll see this year.
Brandon Phillips, a rocket into right field, and that's a good way to get it started here in the Reds' 6th inning, down 2-0.
Okay, I got an answer for you. Carlos Fisher says 3 more no-hitters this year in baseball. How about that?
That is a surprise.
That's pretty strong, Fish. He says 3.
Good question.
0-1 on Orlando Cabrera. Leadoff man aboard with the Reds trailing 2-0. 0-2.
Not a real easy day to see. This is one of these ballparks that during the day that the shadow shifts from first baseline on out towards left. You see it right here. The pitcher and the batter are in the shade right there, and you get that very bright background behind you, and you're really squinting to try to especially pick up the spin on the baseball.
Pitch in the dirt, 1-2. Don't forget, you might want to take a look at Reds.com about the new Chasing Reds October ticket plan. It means you can reserve seats for every game during the final 2 months of this regular season at no additional cost when you secure a 2011 full season ticket plan in select sections of the park. Log on to Reds.com/tickets or call 513-765-7500. Operator standing by, waiting on your call on this Wednesday afternoon. Well, Cabrera waiting a long time on Narveson to get on the same page with Lucroy. Orlando timeout, but never leaves a box. See if the Reds can get something going here in the 6th. 2-2. Joey Votto waits. Break-even pitch. No, they'll send Phillips, who barely has much of a lead over there, back to the bag. Well, the Brewers have action in their bullpen, and man, it's been a bullpen. It's been on quite a roll. Really forget about a game last night. They used a lot of guys that generally they don't use in close games. Put the hit and run on here, and Cabrera swings and fouls it out of play. When they put in the guys that they like to use when they have a lead late in the game, it's been a very good group, including Cameron Lowe.
And it's really a group that has come on lately. Mostly young guys up there, new faces out there have made a major difference.
Narveson has only thrown 72 pitches in the game. Here's a 2-2 again on Cabrera. There goes Phillips. And it's taken down low. Throw to second, not going to be in time.
Picked a good pitch to go on, did Brandon Phillips. That was a curveball. You're just wondering, after fouling a fastball straight back, whether the battery duo of Narveson and Lucroy would decide to go with a breaking ball. And oftentimes it's which pitch you go on, not necessarily how big a jump you have. And Brandon gets a stolen base, and Reds can have the lead with a base hit here.
Three and two, and it's ball 4 in the dirt, and now the first 2 are on for the second time in the last 3 innings. You know, it's funny how you can look at a game, or more accurately, not see a game. The Reds today, outside of Cabrera getting thrown out trying to steal third, which makes you wonder when they did it if it was a missed sign somewhere on a missed hit and run. Cairo easily stole a bag in this game. Bruce easily stole a bag in this game, but he slid by the bag and was tagged out.
Never credited with a stolen base, right. But I see what you mean.
And now Phillips easily steals second. If you look at a stat sheet, it'll tell you that the pitcher-catcher combo today is thrown out 50%. And it's accurate. But in reality, The Reds have really stolen 3 out of 4 attempts that they've had in this game, and all 3 have been very easy. Well, now the heart of the order with 2 on and nobody out. Swing and a miss by Votto.
All right, so Narveson struck out Votto the first time up on a pretty good-looking breaking ball. Last time up, he got a base hit. That was a curveball. Because you're expecting something off speed, do you send the guys right now? Or you're worried maybe about a double play line drive?
What do you think?
Run them.
0-1 the count, and they're going to try and keep Phillips close. The shortstop Escobar sneaking in behind him.
I just like staying out of the double play. But it's easy to say from up here in the third level.
Well, we know the guy that played right now is having a good trip. The guy on deck, you can't say the same for him. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball again. Votto had 3, or rather, Gomes had 3 hits on Monday night. He only has 1 other hit during this entire road trip, including 0 for 2 today. Votto, meanwhile, is 12 out of 23 on the trip, with 2 home runs and 4 knocked in. Narveson wants a visit with Lucroy. You almost wonder, Chris, will this be the final batter that Narveson's going to face with right-handers Gomes and Cairo coming up next?
Well, he certainly hadn't reached any kind of a pitch count. It depends how close Ken Baca wants to play it. A very big game for the Brewers.
Oh, and 2 to Votto. Up and away. And of course, every game the Reds play now, the rest of the year is a big game.
It is.
I mean, you go to. There is such a huge difference between 3-3 on a road trip through Houston and Milwaukee and 4-2.
Well, the Brewers are 8 games back. I mean, if you start losing a few more games, you get into double digits behind, and you're going to fall too far behind, especially when there are 2 teams ahead of you.
Pulled into right field, a base hit. They will wave around Brandon Phillips. He will score. Cabrera goes to third, and the Reds now have made it a 2-1 game on another base hit and another RBI by Joey Votto.
How about Joey Votto making an adjustment in the at-bat on that curveball from Chris Narveson? He waits. And even though he doesn't have a lot of speed on that swing, he's able to find a hole on the right side. That second baseman pinched a little bit towards second. Ricky Weeks opening up the right side, and Votto finds a hole and drives a run in. What a year he's having.
Skyline Chili call to the bullpen.
Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. To register and to get more information, contact Columbus After School All-Stars online at www. And you see it right there, www.asascolumbus.org at the Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium in Columbus. Chris Narveson on the bench. Cameron Lowe, big, tall right-hander from Chatsworth, California, 6 feet 7 inches. Originally taken by the Rangers and now a Brewer.
Well, he comes in with first and third, nobody out. Tying run at third, lead run at first. And Johnny Gomes down a strike. It's been a long journey to get back here for Mr. Lowe. Well, they were talking about him seemingly to no end prior to this year, not pitched in the major league since 2008. He was with the Rangers up and down for 5 seasons, 04 to 2008, then pitched last year over in Japan.
And not in the major leagues in Japan, but in the minor leagues in Japan.
He's come in on Johnny Gomes back-to-back pitches and gotten ahead 0-2. There's a big at bat here for Gomes. And the Reds down a run. Gomes has not had a single RBI on a road trip. And of course, he has been pretty much money in the bank for most of this year when you put runners in scoring position. And it began with a single by Phillips. He stole second. Cabrera walked after getting behind 0-2. Phillips scores on a single by Votto, with Cabrera going to third. And now the 1-2 to Johnny. A bullet that just eats up McGee in the left field. And that'll bring in a tying run with Votto going first to third and Johnny in with a double. 2-2 game. We've seen some of the hardest hit balls I think I've seen all year long at third baseman in this game today.
I'll tell you what, Casey McGee's got to feel like he's a target in a shooting gallery today. Either whether somebody's sliding into him like Orlando Cabrera or they're peppering shots right down the line. Bad hop right there. These balls are absolutely scalded down the third base line. Reminding us why they call it the hot corner, and it is scalding hot today.
So now Cairo with the infield drawn in. Runners at second and third, nobody out. You get a couple of deep fly balls to right, right center, left, left center. And you've got 2-run lead. Breaking ball in the outside corner of strike. Miguel has singled to right center, stolen a base, and popped up to the center fielder Gomez. Milwaukee scores twice in the 4th inning to jump in front by a pair. The Reds have tied it and looking for a lot more than that, with 2 in, 2 on, and nobody out in the top of the 6th inning. Below the pause, and now the 1-1 pitch on Miguel Cairo. Fastball inside. There's another rocket into left field. A 2-run double for Miguel Cairo. The Reds have scored 4. Still nobody out to take a 2-run lead here in the 6th. And the beat goes on in what has just been an outstanding year for Miguel Cairo. Man, what a pickup he's been for the Reds.
A couple of hits on the afternoon, none bigger than this one, though. A little bit of looked like a fastball that was coming in right in there. A little two-seamer right by Casey McGee. He's been diving to his right or his left or out of the way all day long.
Now Jay Bruce, still nobody out. When you look at the last 40 games by Cairo, he has 37 hits in 104 at-bats. That is a batting average over 350 and has 17 runs batted in during that time. Man. See his overall numbers on the year, and you're talking about a guy who really the first month of the year was a lost month. I mean, he didn't do anything. Never got any playing time with Roland and Votto playing every day. And then he got that one chance when Votto went down with a sore neck and didn't play for a week. And that's when Cairo stepped in and just knocked the cover off the ball. And ever since then, whether it's to spell Roland here and there, and then the extended period of time when Roland has been out again now for 9 days before coming back 2 nights ago. Cairo, another start today. And look at those numbers. May is when he got the regular playing time.
Well, Cairo's been in that backup role nearly his entire major league career. Only 1 year, when he was with Tampa Bay, did he ever have enough at-bats to ever qualify for the batting title. Which is just another way of saying he was an everyday player at that point.
But he has had a number of years like this year where he'll go with a team and be a backup guy, utility guy, but then somebody will go down and get hurt. I mean, a couple years there with the Yankees. He really got some big hits. Whether it was filling in at third and second. Of course, there's very little backup playing time in that infield they've assembled now in the Bronx these days. 2-2 pitch. 3-2 now to Bruce. You can start an investment bank with that quartet they've got in their infield right now. A-Rod, Jeter, Cano, and Teixeira.
Probably start 4 of them.
All right. 3-2 to Bruce. Still nobody out in the inning. Single walk, single, double, double. Through 5 batters here in the 6th inning. 3-2 to Jay. And there's another base hit. They're going to hold up Miguel Cairo at third. And the Reds are teeing off on Milwaukee pitching in this 6th.
Well, nobody out, and 6 to the plate in the 6th, and 6 batters have reached base. 5 by base hits. Only the walk by Orlando Cabrera was a non-base hit that played at somebody or got somebody on base. And Ken Locker just can't believe what has happened here. Coming into this inning, leading 2-0. He now looks at a 4-2 deficit. Runners on the corners, 2 runs down. They're cranking it up.
The Reds have not hit a home run in this series.
Todd Coffey.
And really the only way the Brewers have scored runs in this series is via the long ball. All 3 of their runs came as a result of 2 home runs in the opener. They hit 2 home runs, accounting for 3 of their 4 last night. Now their 2 runs today came without the home run. 0-1 to Heisey. Cairo at third, Jay Bruce at first. Oh, 2. Lowe's faced 3 batters, not retired 1 yet. He's ahead of Heisey at 0-2, and a fastball misses down under the knees. Heisey, a long look down to Mark Berry. Struck him out of a breaking ball. 1 out in the inning. First out in this inning comes on pitch number 33 of this inning. So now Ryan Hannigan. Reds have action in their bullpen. First time today. Jordan Smith, who pitched a perfect inning in a game here last night. Well, Reds bullpen again here last night as they have been through June and all of July. Lights out. Strike 1 to Hannigan. The quartet of Andrusik, Bray, Smith, and Fisher go the final 5 1/3 innings. They allow 3 hits, no runs, do not walk a batter, and punch out 6. And now Travis Wood has already been called back into the dugout. Squeeze. And laying it down to perfection is Hannigan. How about that? And the Reds now lead it 5-2. You can't do it any better than that.
I think caught everybody by surprise right there, figuring they're just going to let Hannigan hit. Maybe he can get a ball into the outfield. But almost guaranteeing a run in. Definitely if you get the bunt down, and Ryan Hannigan does it perfectly. Johnny Gomes scores from third. 5 in the inning now. Well, if you don't score your runs via the long ball, and the Reds haven't this afternoon, or really in this series, you might as well score them in the smallest way possible, as long as they come around. I don't know about you, Tom, but one of my favorite plays.
No question. A good call there by Dusty, and of course the Reds have been very aggressive on the base pass and a very aggressive team in a game today, and an extremely aggressive team all year long. Still lead the National League in going first to third on singles. It'll be an intentional walk to the pinch hitter Lance Nix, and they're going to take their chances with Brandon Phillips. Will be 2-on, 2-out situation. Final numbers for Travis Wood. He is in line to get his first major league win. Struck out 6, walked only 1 batter. Brandon Phillips started this 5-run 6th inning with a single into right field. Stole a base and scored the first run in it. Phillips says it hit him, and it did. Well, it's been ugly here for Cameron Lowe. And something we talked about last night with the Reds bullpen. I mean, Lowe's coming into a close game here today. So this will be magnified during the game, after the game, tomorrow, when they write about the game and talk about the game. We have not seen much of this from the Reds bullpen. Post-game fireworks after the Reds and the Braves, featuring a music movie soundtrack chosen by you, the fans, in the Fans' Choice Weekend, presented by Shakely. Some tickets are available still for Friday night. Call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Reds won't be home again after this 3-game home stand / series against Atlanta. Until the Cardinals come in, and tickets are available, by the way, for that series. August 9th, 10th, and 11th. 2 night games and a day game. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now Todd Coffey.
Always gets a raise out of the fans here at Miller Park when he races in. I mean, a dead sprint from the Brewer bullpen.
Loaded for Orlando Cabrera in what has been a 5-run 6th inning for the Reds. Here's strike 1.
And really the way that they have used Todd Coffey this year. He's been on the disabled list. Had a big year last year for him. 78 appearances and an earned run average of 2.9. But they've used him this year to kind of get out of tough situations, and this is a tough one. 5 runs in, bases loaded.
Oh, 2. Tell you, for a big fella, he moves pretty well now.
Maybe looks like kind of like a defensive lineman chasing that halfback that just broke through the line.
I mean, that's moving pretty doggone well right there.
Yeah, we had him timed a few times at Cincinnati, and it was pretty good. What I found, though, is that after he ran in there, he'd take those 8 warm-up pitches, and the first couple of pitches he threw, the velocity was down slightly. Until he got his breath, got his stamina, or got his legs back under him a little bit. And then that miles per hour, at least according to the radar gun, will go up a little bit. But that's his trademark. He says it and gets his blood going.
Check swing bouncer to third. And McGee will go the short way. And that will end the inning. So the Reds score 5 to take a 3-run lead. Time for the Coors Light Freeze can. It was the inning back in the third when Wood struck out the first 2 batters, and he, along with his battery mate Ryan Hannigan, started walking back to the dugout thinking it was 3 outs in the inning. He struck out the next batter, and then they heard about it. Coors Light Freeze can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Well, it'll fall on the shoulders of Jordan Smith. 5 innings pitched for Travis Wood. He leaves right now with the lead. So if all goes well with the Reds bullpen, he'll nail down win number 1 in his major league career. And Jordan Smith in for the 15th time. Smith has been good.
Well, Ryan Braun to lead it off, followed by Prince Fielder and then Casey McGee. Braun an RBI double back in a 2-run Milwaukee 4th inning. We talked about at length on Drusick and how good he has been last night. Chris, you just said about Smith. Right, both these guys have become not just mop-up guys and not guys that, you run out there and you hope they do okay while they're here. I mean, they've become guys that you're very confident, and Dusty's very confident bringing into games, whether it be to protect a 3-run lead, keep it a tie game, to protect a 1-run lead late in the game.
And Smith, remember, came right out of Double-A. He's never pitched an inning of Triple-A. In fact, he was a reliever last year. They moved him into the bullpen. He took to it wonderfully, and really they looked at his stuff. He says he's got a nice fastball. He can throw up to about 94, 95 miles an hour with a little bit of sink, good curveball, and never really mastered the changeup enough to excel through the minor league system as a starter.
1 hopper to Cabrera, 1 out.
Hey, Reds fans, for great food with family and friends this summer, think JTM. Food, family, fun, JTM.
One out for Prince Fielder. Hit off the end of the bat, foul.
Now, we've been talking about the bullpen, Tom, and about the starting rotation, about how good they have been, especially since they've gotten out of the month of May. But since July the 1st, the Reds have the best bullpen in the National League, an earned run average of 3.13, just edging out the Giants and the Braves.
And really, Chris, you and I have talked about it so many times before. I think when you looked at this Reds club, which I thought was a very difficult team to gauge overall based on last year, because, you know, you look through the first 2.5, 3 months of last year, the Reds were over 500. They played that 4th of July weekend series against St. Louis, still less than a handful of games out of first. Then, almost overnight, they lost practically every member of the team to injury for about a 8-week stretch, 7 or 8 week stretch. So they played about 15 games under 500. And then by the time they got everybody back, they won 27 of their final 40 games. So it was hard to tell really what they were or what they weren't. But one thing we thought we knew, which is just now starting to show up now, is that the bullpen would be a major asset to the team. Because that's an area where they really weren't injured last year.
You're right about that.
Rhodes, Weathers before the trade, Massett.
I think, Tom, that's the key to being able to win on the road. I'm not the guy that figured that out. The first time I heard that was Tony La Russa told me that, you know, when he makes up a ball club, the most important thing for him is to have a good bullpen. Of course, he uses a bullpen a lot, but you want to win on the road. You play extra inning ball games. You've got to get 6 outs every time you don't score in extra innings. That means you use your bullpen on the road. And those road games are very important. And the Reds have a lot of road games left.
Mm-hmm. To the count on Fielder. And a tapper, that's the third baseman. Cairo throws him out. Now McGee. Big swing and a miss. Fooled him with the first pitch that wasn't a fastball. Jordan comes back with a 93-mile-per-hour fastball. McGee tardy and cracked his bat. Travis Wood, after he walked the batter, that was Prince Fielder in the 4th inning. He threw one ball to the next 7 hitters combined that he faced. Not a bad way to finish. And he had a lot more in the tank. But Dusty was going to blow this thing wide open, and you can understand that. As an 0-2 pitch is hit down the right field line, this will be a double by McGee. There's still a long way to go in this one. Only in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Some managers make a big deal about giving up a 2-out or 2-strike hit. That is an 0-2 hit. Not all that bad of a pitch at all. In fact, McGee almost just simply laid on that pitch. Can't say he was trying to go to right. Rifles it right between the bag and the first baseman, Votto. Picks up a 2-out double. You know, you can just see, Tom, in talking to these young pitchers in the bullpen, and for that matter, Mike Leake and Travis Wood. I'm mostly talking about guys like Bill Bray coming back, Logan Ondrusek, Jordan Smith. These guys, their confidence level just building almost on a daily basis. I mean, Jordan Smith right now pitching just so confident out there. I mean, he's just attacking these hitters. Not tentative at all. Not thinking, hey, is my stuff as a rookie good enough to be up here? What he's thinking is, I'm going to pitch so well, I'm going to make the decision awfully tough on whoever makes it if they decide to switch out some names in this bullpen. And what I refer to is the fact that the Reds have signed a couple of veterans. Russ Springer down in the minor leagues. Jason Isringhausen down in the minor leagues. Down at the AAA level, trying to get it together in the event the Reds need them.
Fly ball right. And that'll do it. So Smith allows a hit. 1 man left. We go to the 7th. The Reds lead 5-2. Sports Ohio brought to you in part by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com today. By Wendy's, you know when it's real. And by Hollywood Casino. Get the red carpet treatment at Hollywood Casino, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Joey Votto to begin things against Todd Coffey in the Reds' 7th inning. Reds fell behind 2-0 through the front 5, then explode for 5 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, and a hit batsman in the 6th inning to take this 3-run lead. Votto knocked in the Reds' first run in that 5-run 6th with a single to right, driving in Brandon Phillips. Votto 4 hits last night, 2 more today. Has scored another run. You know, we tend to talk so much about Joey Votto and talk about where he ranks in the Triple Crown categories. Came into play today, the third leading hitter. Has the most home runs in the league. Tied for fourth now in runs batted in. But, man, you start looking at some of these other categories. Brandon Phillips is the league leader in runs scored. Votto's one behind him. Now two behind him. Votto has the 7th most hits in the league. He has the 2nd most total bases in the league. The 5th most multi-hit games. The 3rd most walks. 1st in on-base percentage. 1st in slugging percentage. I don't know how anybody could make an argument that right now, not to say it'll last, but that right now, there is anybody that would be deserving of a most valuable player award in the National League than Joey Votto.
Well, you know, we've said it for years, Tom, that the time that this team will make, or the season in which this team will make a real run at things, somebody on your club has to have an MVP type season. And of course, all through that time, you're thinking it's probably Joey Votto or Brandon Phillips, the two guys on this club who are, you know, experienced enough and talented enough to be able to have that type of year. And you're seeing one right now in the Reds' first baseman. It seems like every team that goes deep into the postseason or even makes the postseason has somebody that has a banner year. And he hoists them right on his shoulders and takes them right along. You know who the guy is in St. Louis year after year.
And the last 3 or 4 years, a guy in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you talk about Utley being, you know, their best hitter and all those kinds of things, but you know, here we are when Utley's going to miss at least 2, 2.5, 3 months of the year. And now Ryan Howard is again the league leader in runs batted in.
That means Utley's getting on base. This year, no. But in normal years, yes.
Sure. Johnny knocked in a tying run with a double down the left field line in the 5-run 6th. First RBI on this road trip for Johnny Gomes. He'll try and get it cranked back up. As that calendar turns from July to August over this upcoming weekend. Reds only have 12 home games during the entire month of August. They'll play 15 games on the road, including that 3-city swing out west that begins on the 17th of August. 3 in Arizona, followed by 3 over a weekend series at Dodger Stadium. And then a 3-game series in San Francisco. Still 2-2 to go. And then really, for all intents and purposes, the Reds have 2 more trips out west. Colorado being considered out west. A St. Louis, Colorado trip to begin September. And then a Houston, Milwaukee, San Diego trip. Their final road trip of the year in September. Playable on the right side of the infield, coming in to get it, fielder. 2 away. Miguel Cairo broke the 2-2 tie with a 2-run double up the left field line and later scored in the 5-run inning. 0-1. Narveson allows 3 runs in his 5+ innings. Cameron Lowe charged with the other 2. And Coffey, who came on to retire Cabrera, getting the final out, leaving the bases loaded in the 6th inning, has retired all 3 batters he's faced. Two and two now to Cairo. Arthur Rhodes ready down in the Reds bullpen. Have a ladder third in the Brewers batting order coming up in the bottom of the 7th. I would imagine if it stays a 3-run spread, it's Rhodes to mass it to Cordero and try to get out of here with back-to-back wins after losing on Monday night.
Well, that would leave the Brewers 9 games back, 1 game worse than when they started this series. They came into this series thinking they had to sweep the Reds, really to give their front office and fans a message that they're back in this thing. With last night's big victory by the Reds, that will not happen.
Yeah, you never say never. You never know what might happen, but there are a lot of people that have felt like this was a 2-team race, really going back to the end of May with the start that the Cubs had, the start the Brewers had, and the way the Reds and the Cardinals were going back and forth almost daily since early May, mid-May anyway. There's ball 4 by Cairo. And it's starting to look more and more as we're knocking on the door of August. It's the Reds or the Cardinals. But again, you never say for sure. The Cubs are the one team that has so many games left with St. Louis this year. They've only played 3 series against one another. Here comes Ken Maka, and he is going to make another pitching change after Coffey has only allowed 1 base runner. A 2-out walk. Sure, it'll be a left-hander coming out of their bullpen. Yep. So the change is made as Braddock comes on. in July. Home for a 3-game series against Atlanta. The only 3 home games on this upcoming stand. Then you go on the road, Chris. 3 against a down Pirate team. 3 against a Cubby team that can give you some problems.
They can.
And then it's toe-to-toe with the Cardinals.
Of course, the Cardinals play the Cubs a fair amount of times, as you mentioned. They play them 6 times in the month of September. They play the Padres 4 times at home in St. Louis in the month of September.
And if I'm not mistaken, in September, the Cardinals also play, as there's a swing and a miss, they play the Atlanta Braves.
A 4-game series in Atlanta.
Well,
you know what it amounts to? You got to take care of your own business.
Right. Doesn't matter who you play. We saw the Cardinals over the weekend. They went in. That's a big rivalry series against the Cubs. But Chicago won the first 2 games, and it took extra innings for the Cardinals to win the 3rd game on Sunday night. And the Reds have been swept in Pittsburgh this year. There's a high pop-up. Not sure Fielder can find it. Now he does. Inning over. So Braddock takes care of Bruce. Bottom of the 7th. Reds with a 3-run advantage. This diving grab by Jay Bruce, and that was a big play in this game. Brewers had already taken a 2-0 lead. It took that play to end that inning. Jordan Smith still on the mound, beginning his 2nd inning of work in relief of Travis Wood. Arthur Rhodes is still throwing in a bullpen, now joined by Nick Massett in a bullpen. They're going to let Smith start the inning. They may just go righty, lefty, righty and try to get through this inning. Although you still have the 8th. You've got Gomez, Inglet, and then the pitcher spot. So they're going to bat clearly for Braddock, down 3.
You know, it seems like Carlos Gomez, about every other at bat, tries to drop a bunt down. Struggling a little bit offensively, batting average down at 230, but still he's got good speed and he gives it a shot.
Brewers have a lot of issues on that team right now as far as their bench is concerned. They're basically playing 2 players short. That's why we saw him hit Randy Wolf very early in the game in the 3rd inning last night as a pinch hitter. Jim Edmonds has only had 1 at bat in this series. And that's all they can really do is use him to hit. There's a grounder, fair, by Gomez at the 3rd baseline, and he's into the. It's going to be a triple, perhaps. Out at third! What a throw by Johnny Gomes, right on the bag. Gomez rolling the dice, and not a good roll with his team down 3 here in the 7th inning.
Well, a ridiculously dumb play by Carlos Gomez to lead the inning off. You're down by 3. The play develops in front of you. So as you're coming to second base, you see the left fielder down there, and you still decide to go to third. Now, we saw Brandon Phillips make the first out of the ball game at third base yesterday, but that ball was hit down the right field line. Made the decision to go to third base when he was on his way to second. That was just a bad call by Gomez. Good defense by the Reds. Great relay. Nice tag by Cairo. That'll be all for Jordan Smith. But a good relief job by the Reds so far. All team earned run average looked like throughout the season, descending definitely since the month of June or month of May, and the same for the bullpen, but even more dramatically for the bullpen. April just about the league average, May way above it, and then in June and July, lights out.
Speaking of lights out. Rhodes on to face Inglet. And then a pinch hitter. We're starting to talk about this Milwaukee Brewers bench. Corey Hart still out with an injured thumb. An all-star this year. Jim Edmonds. Got to wonder whether or not he would be available to play in the field. We know he can hit. So there are not a lot of options on that bench right now. One and one on Inglet. He has struck out swinging and struck out looking, and he's behind Rhodes at 1-2. They've gone to the top of the 9th inning down in Houston, and after falling behind 1-0, the Astros clobbering the Cubs 8-1. Third strikeout of the game for Inglet. One batter, one strikeout for Arthur.
Well, he just came with the power, almost always a four-seamer. When Arthur Rose throws that fastball and simply elevates it a little bit and throws it right by the left-handed hitter.
Craig Counsell to pinch hit now for Braddock. First pitch swinging, a fly ball to short left field. Gomes is here, inning over. Go to the eighth. Reds lead 5-2. Spotlight for the ones who get it done. Miguel Cairo just keeps getting it done. Doesn't matter how much he plays, how little he plays. When he gets a chance to play, he just delivers. Carlos Villanueva takes over on the mound. We saw him in the opening game of the series. Pitched one inning, walked the batter, struck out a couple, did not allow a run. So Heisey to lead things off. And he puts down a bunt, and this will be a bunt hit. Well, you like seeing a guy practice it and then deliver when he tries to do it in the game.
Exactly right. You know what he does that is so important when you try to bunt for a base hit is he bunts the ball before he starts to run. So many guys are so anxious to get out of the batter's box, but unless you're pushing that bunt to first base side, if you're dragging it down the third baseline, you've got to wait for the ball. A well-placed bunt is worth 2 steps out of the batter's box, and that was a dandy.
A good way to get it started here in the Reds' 8th inning. Mike Leake has moved into the on-deck circle. Well, unless there's somebody down there that is nicked up that we don't know about, it is a bit peculiar. And, of course, he's not been sent up to the plate yet. But you have Yanish, Roland, Drew Stubbs, Ramon Hernandez, Lance Nix has already been used. As other pinch hitters available off that bench. Now, generally, Dusty Baker does not like to bring in his backup catcher. You wonder if Roland perhaps is feeling anything at all in that hamstring after playing the last couple of nights. He ran around a lot here last night, getting 4 hits in the game. But then that leaves still Giannis and Bruce Stubbs. Two and one on Ryan Hannigan. Runner goes, and it's 1 run and fouled out of play.
Yeah, I'm not sure what will actually happen. If Mike Leake gets to the plate, it will be up there to ask to bunt, maybe sacrifice a runner across. Dusty Baker wants to keep as many of his position players ready as possible in the event that the Brewers come back. I guess there's a couple of different ways you can look at it. One is that, you know, Mike Leake is by far the best hitting pitcher on this Reds ball club, at least statistically this year. Puts a ball in play. He's an athlete. Let him up there swing the bat. He did it in college. And the other school is, why take an undue chance and expose one of your best young players, a pitcher, at the plate when you don't have to?
Well, this one will fall down to the right field corner, a base hit. On to third base goes Heisey, so the single by Hannigan now allows Leake to come to the plate, and perhaps safe to assume he'll be up there to bunt. Well, forget the first Fans Choice Kids giveaway is at Great American Ballpark this Sunday. You voted, and now the first 10,000 kids 14 and younger get a Brandon Phillips t-shirt with a design chosen by the All-Star second baseman, thanks to Widmer's. Tickets are limited. Call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com.
Now, Mark Mary made the walk in to talk to Mike Leake as the Brewers meet in the middle of the infield, maybe to think about possible suicide squeeze again. A lot of options right here for Dusty Baker. You could do the straight suicide squeeze. We've already seen one of those successfully pulled off. You could do a safety squeeze, which is essentially a sacrifice bunt. If you like the way it's laid down, you run in.
Bunt and foul.
Not a squeeze.
You've got Milwaukee thinking about that squeeze.
Well, there's no question about that. And, of course, I was always taught, I don't know what they're teaching them nowadays about a squeeze, but I was always taught, you know, that runner starts to run after you can't really change and decide to throw a different type of pitch. But if you know a squeeze is coming, your best defense as a pitcher is to throw it at their hitter. That's a tough pitch to squeeze, and he's got to get it down.
You'd have a hard time on a squeeze, something coming right at your ribs.
Well, that's you either get it down or maybe you go down.
Or get down. Right.
I mean, from a pitcher standpoint, the worst thing that happens is he bunts and misses. You hit him, you put another runner on base.
1-1, and again they're taking a look. You know, it's interesting cat and mouse here because you don't figure they're going to pitch out to fall behind 2-1. Because then you really got to throw a strike, and you could squeeze if you wanted to. And if you're the Reds, do you want to go ahead and put it on here in a 1-1 count? But then are you worried they might pitch out 1-1? Well, he just flat out missed it right there down the middle on a fastball. Well, now what? I guess this gives you an idea about what tremendous faith Dusty Baker must have in his bullpen these days. 3-run lead and a runner standing at third with nobody out. And you send up a pitcher to pinch hit.
I think not only that, but you also take your best left-handed reliever out of the ball game after retiring just one batter.
But it almost fell right into the skipper's lap by the situation that transpired before Lee came up here with a chance to bunt the runner over. And of course he couldn't do it. But now he's run a count to 3-2.
Tell you one thing you've got to say about Mike Leake as a hitter is that he rarely, if ever, swings at bad pitches, teaser pitches off the plate. I don't know how many pitches that he has had or how many hits that he has had that have come with 2 strikes, but it seems like a great many of them.
Well, Lee carries a .366 batting average on the year. 15 hits and 41 at bats, has knocked in 2. And Lee draws a walk. How about that? So they are now loaded for Brandon Phillips with nobody out. Reds with a chance to just kick in the door here in this inning. They have a 3-run lead. And now Villanueva looking in. Phillips 1 for 3, has singled, stolen a base, scored a run. He's also been hit by a pitch. Strike 1. Brandon just 1 for 7 with the bases loaded this year. fact, the Reds have really not been. It's one of the few areas where, statistically speaking, in different categories, you break it down. Runners in scoring position, runners on base, hitting with the bases empty. One area that they clearly have not been very good in this year is batting with the bases loaded. Normally, those numbers skyrocket for teams. And oftentimes, you'd like to take the pitchers out of that mix, because a lot of times they'll get at bats over the course of a year with the bases loaded. But the Reds at 286 average, that's okay. But generally, with the bases loaded, you see much higher numbers. 2-1 on Brandon Phillips. 3-1. The Reds' best hitter this year with the bases loaded, statistically speaking, is a runaway train. He did it again the other night, is Ryan Hanigan. 3-1 account on Brandon Phillips. High and deep into left center field. Now that's doing it with the bases loaded. A grand slam for Brandon Phillips. The door has been kicked in Miller Park. That makes it a 9-2 ball game.
Being the way they had to throw a strike, got behind on him, nowhere to put him, and threw a fastball right down Broadway. And this is an absolute bomb. Brandon hits it to deep left field, hits it off of the slide that Bernie Brewer slides down to celebrate Brewer home runs. We'll take that. And they are running to the exits here at Miller Park like they're giving out bags of 20s in the parking lot.
In which case you and I'd be on our way out of here.
See you later, partner. Right up here and hits the slide.
That's a bomb, man.
Yes, it is.
That's one of the longest home runs I've seen in this show.
I think that's one of the longest home runs that Brandon has ever hit.
Yeah. That is a blast.
Man, oh man.
And he's shaking his head down there as if to say, yeah, I got it.
Well, the big part of it was worth 4. 9-2.
Paul Giannis now to bat for Orlando Cabrera, and I'm sure Paul will just stay in the game to play short. Well, Brandon Phillips, 2 more hits today, 4 RBIs, 2 more runs scored, which continues to add to his league leading total in that category. Going into the game today, he had 1 more run scored than Rookie Weeks. And now he has 3 more. Giannis gone on strikes. The Reds have 2 of the top 4 in the run scored category. Votto has scored another one today, which actually moves him into a second place tie with Weeks and Martin Prado of Atlanta. Two hits, 4 at bats, a run scored, a run batted in for Votto today.
You know, Tom, all year long we've been talking about how good the Reds have been with 2 outs. late in the ball game in their last at bat. Today's been almost the complete opposite. They've scored 9 runs today. 8 of the 9 runs have come with nobody out in the inning. Wow.
That Phillips home run, their first home run in this series. Votto spun out of the way with a fastball. Looks like Travis Wood will get that first major league win here today, barring a complete meltdown. Reds up 7 here in the top of the 8th inning. Votto in the air to left field. Braun drifting back. Goodbye, Joey Votto. His National League leading 26th home run. He's got 70 batted in. 4 hits last night, 3 more today from Joey Votto.
And we got to figure that at least half of Joey Votto's home runs have come the other way. Little breaking ball, he stays back on it and drives it just enough to get it out of here. Take another swing at the look at the swing at Joey Votto on hitting the home run. A very short stride. You see, he just kind of picks his foot up and plants it just about in the same spot, and a little bit of a hesitation right there. Puts his toe down first, trying to keep his weight back because that was an off-speed pitch. You have to stay back. A lot of guys try to do that. You know, you stay back, hit the ball the other way on a breaking ball, but very few can stay back and hit it with the authority the Votto can.
There you get a look at the home runs by direction, and Chris thought a pile of them either to center or left field. Popped up by Gomes. 2 away in the inning. 5 in the 6th, 5 in the 8th. I think they're still talking about where that home run Brandon hit landed. You do not see many balls hit up there.
No, you do not.
In fact, I can never recall the ball hitting any part. Not to say there haven't been balls that have been hit out there. There have. There's no doubt. Just that you don't see many balls that are hit high enough and far enough to get out by that slide. There'll be balls that will land in that deck below it, but not up that high.
They may have to do a little structural test on that bad boy before Bernie Brewer is allowed to slide down there again.
You might be right. You don't want to leak in that thing if you're Bernie Brewer.
No. Or sitting below him.
No. You ever gone out there, slid down that thing?
No, I have not. Years ago, I think our media relations director, Rob Butcher, got the permission to slide down.
I'm not out there sometime. I'm going out there.
I've been up there in the seats above that, in the 3rd deck. Sat and watched the game up there one day.
I'm going to ask him if I can do it when we come back in September.
What do you want to do, slide down the slide?
Yeah.
All right, you slide down the slide, I'll try to race in the sausage race.
That's a deal. Which one you want to be?
Who's going to call the game?
Well, I'll do the slide before the game. Now, which one would you be? You know, last night, for whatever reason, Jeff Pecoro said that you were partial to the chorizo, and you said, no, you're now a brat guy.
Yeah.
But is that who you would want to be if you were to partake in this sausage race.
Yeah. I'll go with the brat. You went with the brat this afternoon.
I could go for another one. Those are big league.
They are.
2-2 on Cairo. 2 out, 5 in. Sweet Caroline on the Oregon air in between pitches. On swinging Cairo, and that'll end the inning. 8 on the bat, 5 on the score, 4 on a grand slam by Brandon Phillips. To get a little bit thin against the Atlanta Braves. There are lots of tickets available as you look at some of the changes defensively for the Reds. Izzy over the left, Stubbs in the center. Giannis, as we thought, stays in at short. Now on the mound is Nick Massett. But don't forget about the Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals. That'll be August 9th, 10th, and 11th. And plenty of seats are available for that series at 513-381-REDS, or go to Reds.com. That'll be a Monday night, a Tuesday night, and a Wednesday afternoon against St. Louis. Top of the order for Milwaukee after the 5-run top of the 8th. It goes from a 3-run lead to an 8-run lead. Massett starting to really find his groove for the first time in his 2010 season. It was a major struggle for Massett from a consistency standpoint for the first 2.5 months. His last 17 outings, a 0.5 ERA. His last 38 outings, the ERA at 2.3. And, man, that is a blazing fastball in the inside corner for a strike.
A lot of it, I think, is an attitude change for Nick Massett, deciding to be a little more aggressive, pitching inside a little bit more, not being quite as tentative with his fastball. When he got in trouble, it was all about control and command and not really going after the hitters.
Nice play by Cairo, but the throw will pull Votto off the bag. That'll be a throwing error, I'm sure, on Miguel Cairo.
Now, Nick Massis, the fourth pitcher that Dusty Baker's run out there this afternoon. And really, since both of the starters today, Narveson and Wood, have gone only 5 innings each, it's been a battle of bullpens. And the Reds hold that edge, 7-0. If you're going to count the bullpen game. When your bullpen gives up nothing but goose eggs, you got a real good chance.
Same as last night. Not a single run. What'd they give up last night? 6. So 13-0 the last 2 days. Take your chances on that deal, right?
You bet.
I don't think they gave up a run out of the bullpen the first game. Oh, Arroyo went the distance. There was none. So they didn't give up any. Finals in the National League, only one of them. Told you Houston roughed up the Cubs 8-1. Number of other games will be getting started within about the next hour and a half, 2 hours, including the Cardinals at the Mets. Straight away center field, lots of room out there. One away. Well, the last 2 nights, the Cincinnati offense has scored 22 runs on 32 base hits. All the while hitting only 1 home run. Or 2 home runs, both of them in the top of this inning. And all the while, so much has been made. And really, it's a valid point about the percentage of the Reds' runs this year that have come directly as a result of the home run ball. And oftentimes when you see teams going into the playoffs, much will be made about that kind of statistic because you don't homer with the same frequency against the kind of pitching you see in the postseason that you do during a regular year.
No, you don't score nearly as many runs. A lot of those home runs are hit off middle relievers who don't get much face time in the playoffs.
One and one to Ryan Braun. He didn't like that call. Reds and the Brewers still have 3 series to play against one another. And all 3 will virtually come in the month of September, the final 2 days of August, and then September the 1st in Cincinnati. There's a 2-hopper to Brandon, 2 away in the inning, Weeks on to third. Then the Reds come here, the middle city of that final road trip of the year, for a 3-game series, September 20, 21, 22. And then the final 3 games of the regular season will be at Great American Ballpark against Milwaukee, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now Prince Fielder. How about that story which broke yesterday about Major League Baseball and wanting to start the season a little bit earlier, looking ahead to next year, so that the World Series would be completed during the month of October rather than drifting into the month of November. And there's talk the Reds could have opening day on a Friday instead of a Monday next year. So what you're trying to do is start basically that weekend before you always open on a Monday.
Well, you know what that might do, at least from a standpoint of attendance. It was usually the least attended game in Major League Baseball is the day after your opening day. Whether you have a day off in between, say you open on a Monday, you have a day off Tuesday, you play Wednesday, there's usually a very poor crowd on that second game. But if that second game is played on a Saturday, you may be looking at a boost in attendance right out of the chute.
Great point. Great point. And really, from a weather perspective, what's the difference? You start 4 days earlier, none at all.
Of course, in Cincinnati, opening day is a Major League party. Might as well get it going on a Friday.
Amen, brother. Count me in. 2-1 to count on Fielder. I mean, come on. Everybody watching right now, they look, they know. You know, Monday's always a big deal at opening day. You make that a Friday. I mean, now you're rolling into Friday night. Let it rip.
You know, a lot of people have a harder time getting Monday afternoon off work than Friday afternoon off work.
No doubt. And they don't have to get up Saturday morning to go back to work as opposed to Tuesday morning.
Especially if you're in sales. Half those guys are off at noon on Friday anyway.
Or Thursday. Two and two to count on Fielder. Strike three call. Fielder doesn't like it. Massett allows one base runner on an error. We go to the ninth. All Reds in Milwaukee.
Game and talks to the players and coaches on Reds Live, brought to you by Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com.
I think Big Prince got run out of here.
He did. When you do that, throw your helmet right in front of the umpire. Mike Romero saw it. Or maybe he heard it first. Then saw the helmet and said, hey, while you're headed that way, head right on into the shower. Prince didn't like it. A couple of backhands, and that water ought to be warm by now. There have been plenty of relievers in there.
Casey McGee is at third. You still have Escobar at short, Weeks at second, and now Kataris for the ejected and dejected fielder. And on the mound, saw him last night. Gave up a couple of runs, 3 hits in his only inning. David Risky.
$17 games for Risky. Last night in the blowout game, we saw the right fielder Joe Inglet come in. I guess he can't go back-to-back, huh?
I want to take a chance on that arm. Got big plans for him.
May have been the easiest inning I've seen all year.
You might be right. You know, it almost makes you wonder. I was sitting there last night watching, and I meant to ask you, and then we had something come up here that we got off on, too. But, you know, when you watch those swings, when the pitcher, and you talk about it a lot, you know, when you got guys throwing 90, 91, 92, 95, whatever it is, even in the high 80s, they're still throwing hard enough where when you make contact with a bad speed, the pitch is providing a lot of that power as well, as long as your swing. Watching Phillips and Votto last night, they almost looked like softball swings because they were going to have to provide all of the power. Now, we're never going to know the answer to the question. But do you think if a guy came along and threw that softly regularly that he would get pounded?
He would possibly get pounded, and he could possibly do what England did last night, which is work through the lineup 1, 2, 3. But how would you like to be the manager to stick your neck out and say, I really believe in this guy? Where'd you get him? We pulled him out of the third deck right before the game. We brought him down the bullpen. He looked great, about 56, 57 miles an hour, nice arc. We suited him up. Are you going to be the manager that does that?
Well, I'm never going to be a manager anyway.
You know, I've seen it work. You know,
I just wonder about stuff like that.
It sounds funny, and I'm not relating Major League Baseball to Major League Baseball fantasy camps, but I can tell you the guys that can hit that in a fantasy camp are the in-betweeners. The guys that don't throw above the hitting speed, they throw the hitting speed. The ones that don't get hit at all, the real slow ones.
Yeah.
Almost softball arc. You have to have a little arc in it.
Yeah, it just can't be a straight. Right.
Batting practice is straight with no movement, and that gets whacked everywhere. But the real slow stuff, a little bit of an arc in it, guys just aren't used to seeing it. Thinking about a comeback?
No, because I couldn't even throw it that hard. But I always wonder when I see it, even when I'm watching softball, and that's a whole different game, whole different animal. But when those pitchers come in and they throw that ball so high in the air, I'm talking about really high.
Sure,
they can come back down and be called strikes if the batter doesn't swing at it. There's strike 3 called a Heisey to begin the 9th inning. And I've always wondered if you had a pitcher that had a lot of arc on it, I don't mean underhanded, but a lot of arc, what would major league hitters do against that? Very, very slow, obviously. You have to be extremely slow to have any arc.
Well, I tried that in a recent charity softball game. Gave up 12 runs in 2 innings to the Bengals, so I know that the football players can hit that pitch.
No, but that's playing softball, right? Yeah. But the softball guys got it down. It's a much bigger ball.
You know what we ought to try to do maybe during a mechanics of the game or a tech talk? Get out there and get some guys to hit, throw it up there real slow, and just kind of do a little on-the-site experiment.
We'll do that in spring training, maybe next year. Because you know some of those guys may not want to get tinkering with their batting and all that kind of thing against stuff that slow, probably during the regular season. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, you might have a point.
Fly ball to the left. We know we're going to the bottom of the 9th. And we know the Reds lead 10-2.
PerformanceHondaStore.com. We'll put a smile on your face. Every customer, every vehicle, every day. Well, we were talking about the slow pitching. How about Vicente Padilla earlier in the year? Jay Bruce hitting. He liked that big, slow, rolling curveball. That was more of a kind of an ephus curve that Padilla rolled up there, and Bruce made sure he got a brand new one.
You remember that now.
Of course, you also remember the one that Bill Lee threw to Tony Perez in the 1975 World Series.
Sold to Ted Williams as well. They made fun of it at first when he didn't do much. Well, he got it figured out.
You know what? Is Matt Sigafus all over it or what? He's our tape guy. And he comes up out of nowhere with that kind of video backup.
He's on top of his game, man.
You're not kidding.
On top of his game. Our producer, Christian Roberts, our director. Here in Milwaukee is Mr. Roy Alphons. Alan Layton making the trip with us in graphics, and of course Matt Sigafus, our entire crew here in Milwaukee. We thank everybody for a great job, and on this entire road trip, Houston as well. Look forward to getting back to everybody on the home front starting Friday night after an off day mañana. Francisco Cordero just to get a little work. Reds with an off day tomorrow, and Braves come in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Can't wait. Three and two on McGee. Cordero, of course, offered a big contract to stay right here with the Brewers. Now nearly 3 full years ago, made the decision to sign as a free agent for a little bit more money to come to Cincinnati in the 3rd year of a 4-year contract. Strike 3 call.
Now, what does our box tracks say about that pitch? That it could even have been lower and it would have been a strike. Like that low Fox track strike zone. How low can you go?
Jonathan Lucroy, 1 of 3, had an RBI 2-out single in the 2-run 4th inning. So the Reds are guaranteed, no matter what happens later tonight in New York between the Cardinals and Mets, of another day, Chris, on the calendar where you turn the page and you're waking up in the morning in first place.
It's important. And of course, every time you do that, you come in there and you have teams that are looking at that bullseye on your uniform, and that's where you'd rather be. Where would you rather be? Second, third? Like the Brewers, 8 games back, looking at 9 after this game? The Reds have been there, believe me, for the last decade, and it's not a fun place to be. This is a ball club that really believes in itself. 4-2 road trip, not bad.
Oh, heck no. I mean, you just keep winning series, and you're in business. And if the other guy does better than that, you win 2 out of every 3. If the other guy wins 3 out of every 3, God bless him. I mean, what are you going to do? Now, there may come a time where the Reds need to win 3 out of 3 in a series. There's a liner to the right caught by Bruce, and the Brewers are down to their final out. But, I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out when a season begins, you win 2 out of every 3 games, you can mark it down. You'll be playing in October. And more than likely have home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. So now you have Atlanta coming in next after an off day tomorrow. And the Braves, if I'm not mistaken, will be playing tomorrow. Yeah, they will. They'll be playing a day game tomorrow in Washington. And then land into Cincinnati tomorrow night. Travis Wood a strike away and out away from his first major league win. A road trip that has seen Logan Andrusa get his first major league win. Jordan Smith has picked up his first major league win this season, along with his first major league save. Sam LeCure, if I'm not mistaken, got his first big league win so far this year with the Reds. We know about Mike Leake.
Logan Andrusa got his first 2 this last week.
And that's the old ball game. Travis Wood, the front 5, allows 2 runs, and again, the bullpen just lights out. 4 innings of 2-hit shutout baseball in a 10-2